Okay, 2 videos in one day. I wasn't planning this, but I just watched a video from another YouTuber I follow who also, like me, suffers from fibromyalgia, chronic pain. And I have to say, that motivated me to finally do this video because I've been planning to do it since I was down in New Zealand. I just kept putting it off. We got enough light there. Ugh, that's too much. All right. Anyway, I have suffered, I'll tell you my pain story a little bit, and then what happened in New Zealand. I have suffered from pain. I remember my first feeling of pain in my legs probably started when I was 9 or 10, and it got worse 11, 12, 13. My parents sent me to doctors. They couldn't find anything wrong. I guess I was about 13 when they said I had psychosomatic rheumatoid arthritis. Now go figure out what that one is. I don't know. Doctors would always say, in the old days, if they couldn't figure out what a pain was, oh yes, I'm generalizing, so if you're a doctor, don't get mad at me. I admit I'm generalizing, but my experience is they didn't know what pain was. They would say, well, it's probably stress. Now, you hear that enough, you get stressed. You get stressed because you know you feel the pain. And they're all saying, no, nothing's showing up in the tests. I had blood tests all the time. I had blood tests for everything they knew about. It was always negative. I had one positive ANA, which is some kind of an arthritis screening test when I was in college. And that's not unusual to have a false positive with that. So the follow-ups, I will say the school doctor, he did something that no one else had done, and he was pushing on different parts of my shoulder and everything, and he noticed I had pain where other people didn't, and he said, something's going on there. Well, anyway, went back to my regular family doctor, and they sent me to rheumatologists, and nobody could find anything. I had one rheumatologist that said, well, I think you have something when I had the positive ANA. She said, I don't know what it is, so just take aspirin every 4 hours. Does great things to your stomach. And so it went on. And every now and then I'd go back and say, hey, things hurt. And finally, I guess I was in my 40s, I'm 56 now, when they had that pressure test come out for fibromyalgia, where you get certain pressure points, one's right up here. You touch them on someone with fibromyalgia and it hurts, whereas someone else, it just feels like you're being touched. It's almost like banging your elbow. I forget how many points there are. I had this done a number of years ago. I think there's 21, and if you get 18 or more, you're considered having fibromyalgia. And boy, did I pass that test really well. So now I had a diagnosis, and I was sent to another rheumatologist who said that he thought fibromyalgia was just in your head. I had it. What do you do? I went back to my primary that said, well, there seems to be a link with serotonin levels and pain, and therefore we're going to try you on an antidepressant. So they put me on Zoloft for pain. It did nothing for the pain. It didn't really affect my head. If I noticed any psychological difference was I didn't cry at sappy things as much because, if I see a cute thing like a kid playing with a puppy, I'll go, oh, it's so cute, and I'll start crying. Give me a Hallmark card. I'll read it. I guarantee you I'll cry when I read it. That's not a deep thing. It's just something I do. I cry really easily at movies. Oh, on the plane coming back from New Zealand, I watched La La Land, got to the end of that, and I'm there watching the screen going, that's the way I am. Did less of that. That's the only thing I noticed. Didn't change me. I had no bad reactions to it. They actually tried me on Paxil first, which since they've taken, I think, off the market in the United States. It was supposed to be the best thing since Wheaties, but it wasn't. I tried that for 2 days, and I had just a really weird reaction to it. So they put me on Zoloft. After a few months, it's like, does nothing for the pain, in my case, nothing. And they said, well, they're now coming up with new antidepressants that treat like 2 factors. And that's supposed to really help pain. So they put me on something called Effexor. Also did not help the pain. I did not particularly notice any change in my mental state, but I wasn't being treated for anything but chronic pain. So it's like, okay, I want to come off this. Heroin. It might as well have been heroin. Coming off that was horrendous. It took me months. Some people can cut off quickly, some can taper off and be okay, not me. It was horrible. So since then, they've come out with other medications. Rheumatologist I went to fairly recently, within the past few years, brought up new medications. Now, I tend to be allergic to a lot of stuff, so I have to watch a lot of them. And she said, we have these different medications, and she listed them. You can look at any magazine and see the names of the ones that are being advertised for fibromyalgia. And I said to her, Doctor, I want you to tell me something. Are these things in your experience work? Or are you throwing things at the wall to see what sticks? She smiled a little and said, we're throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. And I said, I have lived with this pain most of my life. It comes in waves. I get it, and then I don't get it as badly. It dissipates. I think I always have a level of pain. On some level, I have some pain, but there are times where it just hits you and everything hurts, and other times when I just go about my day. And I said, I think I would rather have the pain than be attached to this medication that I can't get off of. Now, mind you, I'm not saying there's not a time to take it. I think there is. There are people in my family that suffer from depression, and without antidepressants, even ones that later had to be replaced with something else, they benefited them tremendously. So I'm not saying these things can't be of benefit. The only thing I'm doing is telling my own story. And where it's leading to right now is where I'm getting to. So some of you have been following my channel know that I was in New Zealand for a month. It's summer down there. And I went down, and it was pretty overcast and rainy the first week I was there. My daughter said there's a lot more UV. My daughter lives down there. That's why I went down there. There's a lot more UV radiation down here. There's a hole in the ozone layer. It's pretty close to Antarctica, relatively speaking. And, it's not Antarctic cold. It's climates similar to the northeastern United States as far as seasons go. Maybe even a little bit more similar to the British Isles as far as seasons go. Excuse me. But she said there's more UV radiation. So, go out and get some sun. And I said I should do that because I had my doctor and my physical tested my vitamin D levels, and they were in the toilet. And she looked at me. Now, this daughter is a scientist, and one of the areas she studies is the relation of certain vitamins, especially vitamin D, and overall health and diseases. She said, are you taking supplements? And I said, well, they actually, my levels were so low, they gave me a prescription level of vitamin D to take, and I had to take it for a period of time, and then I was supposed to go on the regular vitamins you buy in the store. And she said, are you taking it? And I said, well, I never remember to take stuff. I'm just very bad at it. You give me an antibiotic. If you don't give me a Z-Pack that I could take in 5 days for an antibiotic, I'll forget to take it. As soon as I'm better, I'll forget to take it. I'm very bad with it. She was not going to let me forget. She said, get out in the sun, because vitamin D synthesis in the human body is like photosynthesis in plants. The sunlight, now she may look at this video and say, Mom, you're getting the science wrong. This is my understanding of what she said. Your skin interacts with the sunlight, and it makes a chemical that is turned in your liver into vitamin D. And if you take the little vitamin supplements, that's not vitamin D, that's the chemical that will be turned into vitamin D in your liver. But the best thing is to get sun. After about a week down there, I didn't have pain. I didn't have pain. The neuroma in my foot, which is separate from the fibromyalgia, that's from an injury, was better. And my daughter said, vitamin D affects everything. It affects your overall health. It affects your immune system. It affects your allergies. It affects your nervous system. It affects everything. So the neuroma was improving. It wasn't healed. It's not going to heal without surgery, but it was improving. And by the time I came back home, I had almost no pain. And I thought about it, and I said, there's been 2 other times in my life where the pain greatly, greatly lessened. I don't mean the waves, fibromyalgia flares up and tones down. I mean feeling completely different. One was I was in Hawaii on a vacation when I had 3 kids, and they were all little at the time. I have 5. I ended up with 5. It was a long time ago. And then a few years ago when I went up to San Diego, where my daughter was different daughter, was living at the time. She just had a baby, and I wanted to help with the baby. And I was out there for 6 weeks. I came home for 2 weeks, and then went out there for another month because she needed more help with the baby. And I could walk. The pain was less. It was there, but it was much less. So this time, going down to New Zealand and experiencing the level of light, even if it was rainy and overcast, there was still more UV radiation. I felt so much better. And this is the first time it's sunk into me that maybe that vitamin D level has something to do with the pain. So I'm back here for a few days, and it all comes back. I have the pain back again. It's there, my old friend. It's like that song, Hello Darkness, my old friend. That's kind of what the pain's like. It's familiar to me. Right now I don't have the fatigue that sometimes goes with it. That'll come. You have enough pain, you don't sleep. It affects everything else, and then you get, it's like a cycle. It really is. But it's reminding me to take those vitamin D supplements. I would encourage anyone that suffers from chronic pain and from fibromyalgia, and I'm not telling you not to do what your doctors are telling you to do. Also do your own homework and bring up questions to your doctor. But if you haven't had your vitamin D levels checked, have them checked, because low vitamin D levels can lead to depression, which wasn't the case to me, to my knowledge. They can lead to pain. They can lead to immune system disorders. It could lead to a whole host of orders that aren't related. And I'd heard that before, but it wasn't until I was down in the light and felt the difference that I really started to think, hey, there might be something to it. So, listen to your doctors, talk to your doctors. I am not a doctor. This is not medical advice. This is my own feeling. But the sunlight and the vitamin D made a big difference in me. So next physical, get your vitamin D levels checked, among other things. And God bless you all. And if anybody else is suffering with the pain, I feel for you, literally. Okay? But just keep swimming. All right. Bye-bye.